the show. I'm your host, Ben Licata. This show is brought to you by Reinventing the Tattoo. Guy Aitchison's amazing book is now available in digital form. It actually has been for a while. Check it out at reinventingthetattoo.com. It's constantly updated. It's got videos and guest chapters by people like Russ Abbott, Nick Baxter, Don McDonald, Megan Jean Morris, and a whole bunch of other folks. Check that out at reinventingthetattoo.com. Also brought to you by Voluta Digital Tattoo Release Forms. You've heard me say it before. I mean it. We use them in the shop. They're great. No more killing trees. No more files to store. It's easy. It's iPad driven, so the clients are familiar with it. Saves their information, so if they're a returning client, you just look it up and plug it right in. Gives you all the information. We're also brought to you by Tattoo Now. Tattoo Now has been making and developing websites for tattoo artists for many years. And we've got Justin behind the helm of Tattoo Now. And if you're interested in getting a website or updating your current website, send an email to management@tattoonow.com and Justin will hook you up. If you missed our last episode, we spoke with De Soto, Frank Linatra, and Paolo Acuna. I've got some events I want to tell you guys about. Coming up on December 8th at our Grants Pass, Oregon location, we're having an open house. So it would be great if you guys could join the team and hang out for the open house. There's going to be drinks, hors d'oeuvres. There'll be raffles for free tattoos from Laura Jade, Gabriel Londis, Sydney, Edward Lott. Edward. I just call him Ed. I don't think anyone calls him Edward. Asia Rain, and a free microblade raffle. Asia's also doing the microblading out at the Grants Pass location. So that is December 8th from 6:30 to 9:30, Grants Pass, Oregon. And then we've got something going on right here in East Hampton. It is our 12th anniversary party, Saturday, December 9th at 7 p.m. We're in our new theater building. We've settled in here. We've been here for about almost a year and a half now. And we're going to have a big-ass party. We're going to have a bunch of people here. Best idea contest. So we have boxes from a lot of our artists here, and you put your tattoo idea in there. And you can win yourself a free tattoo, up to $400 value. But you can get yourself a pretty awesome tattoo from one of our amazing artists. We'll have some live music from Workman Song. We'll have a DJ. DJ Quills will be with us. We always have raffles with gift certificates from local businesses. We give away about $5,000 in tattoo gift certificates as well. And first 100 people through the door will get a gift certificate. There'll be a free taco bar from Mission Cantina. If you know them, you know their tacos are amazing. So join us here for our 12th anniversary party on December 9th at 7 p.m. It's going to be a hell of a party. I'm going to be here. So on this show, we'll be talking with Aubrey Manila, who's getting ready now. She's nervous, so be nice to her. And the amazing Steve Moore will be Skyping in with us. If you've got questions for either one of my guests, you can put them in the comments down here, over there, I don't know, somewhere. And I'll try to get to them, and I'll try to ask my guests. So stick with us. We'll be back in a few minutes with Aubrey Manila.
Decorative, where the main intention was to talk about ornamental tattooing. And really, it's the conscious decision of removing the picture or the thing from your tattoo.
Today, I want to throw myself at your mercy and attempt to design a tattoo in front of you on my computer using a graphics tablet. Apparently I can do this design in about an hour and a half and get it ready for a stencil. So we're going to see how well I do under the gun with that.
My seminar is going to be called The Jade Effect, and I want to make sure that I talk about where I came from, and I want to encourage everyone that even if it looks easy, it's not easy, and it takes a lot of practice. I'm still not perfect, and I never will be, but I think that I have some good things to offer. I also want to tell some really bad jokes. Maybe really well, maybe really good jokes really bad. I don't know.
going like this and this for 10,000 hours, you're going to get good at doing those two things, this and this. I really want to just share with you what I've learned by focusing on large-scale work, because that is my true passion. I really focused in on what I love, which was a Japanese Art Nouveau blend, and I was gearing towards larger scale. But the thing is, when you haven't done a bodysuit, it's hard to get a person to get a bodysuit. So I'm just going to share with you the things that I have encountered and really invite you in to my new 10-year journey, which I'm 2 years in. I want to do tattoos. And if it was made illegal today and all the supplies were illegal and all that, I would still find a way to tattoo. Yeah, I would go back to tattooing out of my house. I would do it underground. I'd get Japanese on it.
Hey, we're back. I'm still Ben Licata, and this is Aubrey Manila.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I shake everybody's hands. It's
Cool.
just habit. So, you work at the Commonplace in North Conway, New Hampshire.
Yes, that is my studio.
That's your place?
Yes.
You own it?
Yes, and I built it.
You built it?
Yes.
That's
Took
amazing.
4 years. Yeah.
4 years? How long has it been there?
Well, geez, I don't know. Maybe 6 or 7, but it didn't get official for a while. Yeah.
What made you want to open your own place?
That's a good question. I like being able to have the freedom to come and go as I like, and make my own hours and my own lifestyle, and so it was a way to do that. Yeah.
Do you travel a lot?
I do. I travel 6 months out of the year. I do guest spots. So I'll spend the summer months in New Hampshire, and then I go out west for the winter. I go to Europe for a month and work with different people.
So what's important about traveling to you? Why do you do it?
Well, for a variety of reasons. I think traveling is it's my inspiration, and it's also my friend base and my social life. I get to see different people doing different things, but we're all kind of doing the same thing that we're passionate about. So it's a good way to share ideas and grow, and also be able to go do outdoor adventures in different places.
Cool. North Conway is out there. Like it's beautiful place. What put you there?
I grew up there. Yeah, I moved away when I was 18 and spent about 10 years away, and then came back. So, yeah.
What was growing up in North Conway like?
A lot of outdoor stuff, a lot of hiking and skiing and snowboarding, and you always think, oh, I'm going to get out of here one day. I'm going to go someplace big with more people. But you go bigger places with more people, and you realize it's nice to have a quiet place to be outdoors, to go back to.
I did the same thing. Hopped in a van when I was younger and was like, I'm out of here. Getting out of small town Western Mass.
Yeah.
And I came back, and I haven't left. I just go visit other places, but it's nice to have that kind of home base.
Yeah.
What year did you start tattooing?
2000, I think. I first wanted to tattoo, 2010. I first wanted to tattoo in 2001. And when I realized I wanted to tattoo, I spent some time making a portfolio. I felt like it wasn't good enough, and I wanted to be a competitive artist in the industry. So I decided to go back to school and get my art up to par as best I could, and did a 6-month journey in school, or a 6-year journey in school. And then when I got out, I spent a couple of years trying to get started and get an apprenticeship, and slowly made my way. So I didn't start tattooing until 2010. So it's been 7 years.
7 years?
Almost 8, yeah.
That's a good long time.
Yeah.
You still like it?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it feels like 3 years, but no, I love it. It's great because it's just challenging. Every day you're trying to get better, and you have good days and bad days.
So what influences your tattoo as far as inspiration-wise, stylistically?
I think that my style is illustrative, But as far as subject matter, it just totally varies. It depends, you know, I'll see things that other people are doing that'll be inspiring, and I'll think, oh, I want to try this for a while, and I'll work on a certain subject matter and then get burnt out on that, and then move over to another subject matter. But influences are probably when I travel, like the people I work with when I travel. Like when I come here, Matt has been a very big influence in my life, Matt Driscoll, because he's got a very flawless technical style. And so that's great to watch. It's great to watch him slow down. And I really like Alex's work ethic and how it's important to take time when you do everything from preparing the design to executing the design, and to treat every design, no matter how big or how small it is, as a really important design. And out west, my friend Megan is very influential because she started tattooing over 10 years ago, and she started by herself. She had no influences and nobody to teach her, and so she opened the shop by herself, and she grew this really radical style that wasn't influenced by other people. So when you see her stuff, you think, oh, I can think outside the box. You can tattoo anything. And
So if you could describe your favorite client, what would that be?
that would be somebody who would come to me, not with no idea, someone who would come to me with an idea and say, I like these things. Because if somebody comes to me with no idea, then I'm
Just
like,
do whatever you want.
I'm like, I can't, you got to give me something.
Right.
So, but they come to me with an idea and they say, I love your style, and I want you to do your take on it. And I want it kind of on this part of my body, but it can go over to other parts. It's very hard when I have to work with, well, the sleeve comes to here, or, you know, whatever. When people understand that the piece is going to flow on their body and it needs to fit however. And they understand it takes as long as it takes. And we work on the piece together slowly as a team. So if we have to do another session, that's okay.
Yeah, I've noticed the way you talk with your clients. It's very collaborative. You spend a lot of time with them before you ever tattoo anything.
Yeah, that's
sitting
true.
with them and talking with them.
Yes.
And you find that to be helpful, obviously.
Yeah, I'll have people come in and I'll draw on them, and we'll talk about the drawing. We'll fit it to their body. We'll take a tracing so we have a foundation. And then they'll come in and we'll take time putting on the stencil. We'll try it on different sizes. If we have to freehand a little bit, we'll do that. But I mean, you want everything clear so that by the time you tattoo, everybody's on track. Because once you start the tattoo process, there's no going back. And
Right.
I think my biggest nightmare would be somebody saying, I didn't like what you tattooed. It hasn't happened, but if it did happen, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of care and time that you put in with your clients, that probably isn't going to happen. But
I hope. Yeah.
So, favorite subject matter? What do you really enjoy tattooing?
Animals have been really fun, creatures. I thought it was going to be pinup stuff because that was what my fine art was based around in the beginning, but that got tedious. Little hands and
Little faces?
Yeah, little faces and bodies distorting. And I do like doing botanicals. They're pretty, and flowers, but I start to get a little burnt out on those, so I feel like I really like animals, and I like nature in general and being in nature, and I like hunting and all that, so yeah.
Deer season started today here. I don't know about New Hampshire.
Well,
but...
bow season's been open for a while.
Oh, okay.
I got the first bit of it.
Oh, yeah? You're an archer?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't hunt. The last time I went was in high school, and I fell asleep on a rock in the sunshine.
Well, that's what's nice about it. You get up in your tree stand and you take a
Yeah.
nap in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be more hunting with a camera, I suppose, because I'm lazy. Not because I'm anti, just because I'm lazy. That deer that we just saw,
Yes.
How old is that tattoo?
I think we did that one last year. That was a tribute for my client's father, so that was cool. Who's
it's
still
like
alive. He's still
oh,
alive.
okay.
Yeah, it was just
Like a
like an I
dedication
love you,
piece,
Dad.
not a memorial.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff, and I wish more clients would kind of be more receptive to imagery as opposed to like straight up text and things like that. Do people ever bring you ideas with like, I want Grandpa's birthday and stuff?
Yeah.
How do you make them come around? Or
With the tech, well, I'm not really big into talking people into what they should or shouldn't do.
Sure.
If they seem really tied to getting text, then I just say, you know who's really good at text?
Sure.
And then I help them find the right person. But I will say, I don't think that this is going to make the best composition, and you want it to look good on you for the rest of your life. And if you want me to do it and you want me to excel, then I think this is the best way to go about it. And if they're like, yeah, we should do it, then I'm like, let's do it. But if they're like, oh, I don't know, and I can sense a little apprehension, I just
kind of help guide them to somebody that jives with them a little bit better.
And everybody's always happy. If you say
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not good at something, people appreciate that. So.
Yeah, I always try to drive people to get the best tattoo, and if it's not with me, it's not with me. As long as they get the best tattoo out of it, that's the important part to me. Do you work in any other mediums outside of tattoo?
I used to, but I feel like I spend so much time drawing and prepping for people because I do a lot of draw work with my tattoos that when I get free time, I just want to be outside doing something active. Closest I come to art is like building buildings or renovating.
Sure.
Or working on cars or something, I don't know. But I don't pick up a paint. It's been 10 years since I painted.
No shit.
But I used to.
Do you miss it at all? No.
No. I mean, I had to paint so much for school that it was just like, and every day I was painting, I was just like, one day I'm going to be tattooing. It's not going to be painting. So, I don't know.
So
but I will.
You built your own studio.
Yes.
You just mentioned you work on cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you always been interested in have you always worked with your hands like that kind of stuff?
Cars started when I got old enough to be able to drive, but your car would break down.
Right.
And
Old enough to be able to drive, but not rich enough to have a car that didn't break.
Right,
Yeah.
and you would be like, I don't want to pay someone all this money for something, and I think I could do it myself, and I had friends who worked on cars, so they were good to me. The biggest project I ever did, I changed the head gasket in my '88 Volvo station wagon. And,
Sweet. I've done that 1990 Volvo.
Right,
station wagon.
you take everything
240.
apart, it's crazy. I put it back together wrong a bunch of times, but it worked out. But renovating buildings didn't start until the studio, and I just renovated the upstairs, and I was like, that's cool, that's all I need. And then I was like, I'll just renovate like one room downstairs for a washroom, and then another room, and it would ended up being the whole thing.
So did you teach yourself how to do all that stuff?
No, my dad was a carpenter a long time ago, and my grandfather was a contractor. So it was awesome because if I had questions, my dad knows how to do everything. And then I would have friends, like my boyfriend at the time, we YouTube plumbing, and then we were like, all right, let's do it. Yeah. So, and everybody was just really helpful with it. So, yeah.
What up, Gabe?
It's always fun. Time to wrap it up.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm working on that. So,
I'm a talker.
no, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I just looked at the clock. But Gabe and I both look at the clock at the same time. I'm going to just tell everyone out there.
Okay.
And he will come over here and be like, you going to wrap it up? When in my head, I'm already like, going to ask you the next question.
Okay.
Next question is, if people are interested in being tattooed by you, how do
Yes.
they get in touch with you?
There is one way to do that, and that is to go on aubme.com, AUBME.com, and go to the contact page, and it'll give you my dates for California, and my dates for here, and my dates for New Hampshire, and then you send me an email where you want to get tattooed, what you want to get tattooed, and I will get back to you. I'm good at that.
And you're looking to do some more animals.
Yes, and big pieces, more like Mark's back piece. Send me large pieces.
Big, nature-driven,
Yeah.
colorful.
Yeah, no space.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
Yes.
Wasn't so bad, right?
No, not at all.
We'll be right back with Steve Moore in just a few minutes.
At whatever stage you may be in your tattoo career, apprentice, experienced street shop tattooer, or fully custom artist, it's hard not to feel a little competitive in today's tattoo industry, with so many amazing artists working in all styles in virtually every corner of the world. But you can benefit right now by learning from the experience of the tattoo professionals who have dedicated themselves to education in this industry. I'm Guy Aitchison, and I've been teaching in the tattoo field for much of my 27 years in the trade, with most of my educational efforts being focused within my Reinventing the Tattoo platform, which has been an industry standard in education for nearly 2 decades. Reinventing was originally conceived as a series of seminars that I held at tattoo conventions, and its curriculum has been filled out and fine-tuned according to the needs of the artists attending these classes. It's now a massive standalone educational package which can be viewed on any kind of device in order to bring the answers you need right to your fingertips. The Reinventing the Tattoo curriculum is centered around a group of fundamental artistic principles of composition, including flow and fit on the body, contrast, positive-negative relationships, color theory, depth, and other concepts, which are framed in a way that is meant to be as useful as possible to working tattoo artists. The material then covers uses of reference imagery and digital tools in your design process, along with a review of alternate art forms such as oils and watercolors and how they can help refine your skills as a tattoo artist. The technical sections are as comprehensive as possible, covering everything from machines and other basic equipment to stenciling and working on various challenging parts of the body. Not only am I sharing everything useful that I know about these subjects, but I'm also enlisting the help of various top-name professionals, such as Russ Abbott, Nick Baxter, Megan Jean Morris, Phil Garcia, Halo Jankowski, and Don McDonald to share their own experience on these topics. You may have already read the book version of Reinventing the Tattoo. However, the new electronic edition has been seriously updated and expanded beyond the scope of the old book, including not only new chapters by myself and our guest writers, but also introducing a massive section on cover-up tattooing, including chapters on lasers and scar cover-ups, plus loads of new video footage to further illustrate the book's topics. Subscribers can look forward to seeing new material added regularly along with further updates to existing content as the Reinventing curriculum continues to expand and evolve. I'd like to invite you to drop by reinventingthetattoo.com to read more about what we have to offer in the Reinventing the Tattoo educational package. It's the biggest and most detailed teaching effort I've ever been involved with, and I'm completely confident that no matter where you stand in your tattoo career, it can help you to take your work to the next level.
Tattoo artists are power creators, not power administrators. Save time, money, and trees with Tattoo Release Forms app. Your client will photo his ID, enter personal information, information about the tattoo, health information, initial legal clauses, and sign his name. When the client is finished, you can make session notes and choose inks and needles from the most popular brands and configurations. Preview the form, sign it, and hit upload. The form lands on a secure cloud in seconds as a printable PDF. If you're at a convention or without Wi-Fi, TRF will automatically upload the forms next time you're online. Return clients can simply search for themselves, check to make sure all the information is correct, and sign again. Done in seconds. Download Tattoo Release Forms app from the Apple App Store for free and enjoy 25 free forms. Also available in the UK, Canada, and Australia.
We're back. That was Aubrey Manila. I hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation. And we're going to chat with Steve Moore in just a minute here. I'm just going to get him on the line. Hopefully. Here he comes. Hi, Steve. Everyone's Steve Moore. Steve Moore, the internet.
Hi.
How are you, man?
Good, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. So for some folks who may not know your history, can you tell us a little bit about where you started and how you started?
Let's see, I started in Toronto in 93, I guess. And then I did my apprenticeship around that time. I started kind of on my own at first, just on some friends, and then moved on to an apprenticeship with Crazy Ace. And I worked with him for, I don't know, three years or so. And then I moved out west. I had a chance to work with Aaron Kane. He was in Whistler for a while. So I worked with him and then just did a bunch of traveling around, and then went down to Vancouver and lived there for about 12 years. I think 8 of those I worked at Sacred Heart.
Oh, right on.
So, yeah, that's about it.
What drew you to tattooing in the beginning?
I think initially it was some of my friends were getting tattooed, and they asked me to draw stuff. And I don't know, the feeling of the relative permanence of it, you know, like that I could make something for somebody and they could wear it around. It was super thrilling, I guess.
Can you tell me a little bit what the tattoo culture and climate was like in Canada in the early 90s, early mid 90s?
Yeah. I think it was mostly like flash stuff. Like the first shop that I worked at, Way Cool Tattoos, it was primarily flash. So people would walk in and they'd pick stuff off the wall or they'd pick stuff out of books. And occasionally you'd be like, oh, do you want me to redraw that for you? And they'd be like, no, not at all. And but it was good because you could just kind of like tattoo all day, and it was more like learning the mechanics of it. I still drew nonstop, and then I slowly started to have people coming in to get work just from me, but mostly I think that's how it was. Like most people were just getting piecework, small pieces, quick ones. Yeah.
Large scale work was definitely not very common in the mid '90s. I was around back then, and I was getting small little tattoos, and the kind of work that you do now, I didn't see much of that at all. I saw a little bit, coming out of like San Francisco and Japan and things like that, but your day-to-day tattoo shop was definitely not doing work like that.
No.
Do you have an art background?
Yeah, I went to art college in Toronto for, I can't really say a year. I don't know. I went there for a little bit. I took courses. I dropped out because I decided I wanted to snowboard more than I wanted to go to art college. And then I went back and took more courses, but nothing too intensive.
You do a lot of large-scale work. Do you do pretty much all large-scale work nowadays?
I think it's my preference. I think doing the large-scale work, it lets you spend more time on the drawing, because like the drawing to tattooing ratio is better when you're doing large-scale stuff, because you can spend like a couple days on a drawing and then spend 30, 40, 50 hours working on it. And so I feel like I can put more into the drawing and more into the preparation. I felt like when I was doing more small pieces, I was drawing so much all the time that sometimes I almost couldn't even concentrate on the drawing I was doing because I was thinking about the next one I had to draw. And it's just that pace is pretty intense. And I also like the large scale tattoos because I have an opportunity to develop relationships with people. And I like, getting to know people and, working with that same person for a while. And, if it's quick one shot, sometimes it's like, I don't know, it's like a missed opportunity.
So how do you find clientele? I'm assuming they find you now based on reputation. But in the beginning, was it difficult to find clients that were willing to put in the time and financial, part of it to do large scale work?
I don't know if I really initially set it as my goal to do large scale tattoos. It was just like, there was always some kind of demand. Like people were coming to me. I tried to do my best with anything, regardless if it was like a little tiny job or if it was, something off the wall or something somebody brought in. And then it just led to more work that way. Like I didn't intentionally be like, oh, that's it, I'm only going to be like a cool guy that does big projects or something. But as the demand got bigger, I got to be able to be more selective. And so, if somebody came and said, oh, I want a back piece, I'd be like, oh, that sounds really interesting. It gives me an opportunity to learn. Like I also find that I've learned a lot from doing large scale tattoos, because when you're doing a one shot, you may or may not see that person come back. But when you're doing large scale stuff, you can, with some degree of safety, do some type of experimenting almost, right? And you work on something and then you see it come back. You see how that worked. It really gives you a real strong indication of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And so it makes makes it easier to progress, I think. I don't know. It was for me anyway.
Can you kind of walk us through the process from like the time you have first contact with your client to, how you progress?
Oh, like choosing a project, you mean?
Yeah, well, say you've decided on a project, you've chatted with someone. What's that conversation like, and how do you guys proceed to actually getting a design and things like that? What's your What are your steps to get to that?
I think it varies a little bit for sure, right? If somebody is a little more local, I always try to do like a sit-down consultation. So, like I'll read through emails and I'm always like sort of like highlighting ones that sound interesting. And then as I get an opportunity to take on a new project or a couple new projects, I try to, look back through those emails, or if somebody's emailed me a few times, it's usually a little bit more in my, in the foreground of my head, I guess. And then, so I'll email them back and we start some kind of dialogue. And then I either set up a phone call consultation or, if possible, an in-person consultation. And then I try to do like a tracing or have them send me a tracing. And then I really ask a lot of questions. Like sometimes people are really like, oh, whatever you think. But usually people never really mean that. They're like, oh, whatever you think, as long as it's a lady with fabric and a fox. And, so I try to ask questions like, oh, you want a woman. Okay, so what kind of woman is she? Is she dynamic? Does she have long hair? Does she have brown hair? Does she have, is she scary? Is she passive? And, and then you kind of go through it and also try to get like the motivation from people. I think is a real key underlying element. Like, why do they want to get it? Because sometimes that gives me some type of inspiration, to work with. Like if it's about, making something that's like powerful looking, then it's like that's where I'm going towards. But most people give me the freedom, and I suppose maybe I take the freedom a little bit, or I'm trying to be more confident to take the freedom to kind of just go with stuff. Like most people never see their drawing until they come in the day of the appointment, and it's kind of crazy because that's a lot to ask of people. Like 98% of my clients are flying here from somewhere else, or they're taking the ferry over to the island from Vancouver. And so it's like, that's the first time they see the drawing. And so it's always a gamble, like, well, hopefully they like it.
Do you ever have a situation where someone's like, no, you completely missed the mark and you've had to start over? I can't believe that would happen, but has that happened?
I think it happened quite a few years ago. Hopefully it doesn't happen, right? Like, knock on wood.
Right. Hopefully I'm not cursing you to anything there.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why I try to ask all the questions, because, if I've asked all the questions and I've maybe done some little sketches, like, oh, I'm thinking about maybe kind of composing it this way. What do you think? I feel like I'm not, going way out on a limb, right? Where I'm just going to surprise them, like, oh, they come in and they want a skull, and they come into their appointment and I've drawn a rabbit, and expect them to like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. What are some of the challenges working on large back pieces? What are some of the hurdles that you have to overcome?
I think there's a couple key ones. That I think the composition is difficult on backs because no one has the same shape back, right? Some people are really muscular, some people are heavier, some people have, interesting lumps and bumps, and then so you have to figure out how to make an image that's going to fit on this particular person's back. And, sometimes based on the imagery, like a while ago I had to do like a Monkey King, like a Chinese version, the Sun Wukong, and he carries a staff. So, to have a long straight line on the back is like, whoa, you really have to plan that out. So often I think of, a couple of positions in my head, and then I tend to kind of like move them around in my head and change the angles until it kind of fits on the back, and then I start drawing.
You always have to deal with the really big pieces, you always have to deal with, and I'm not trying to be crude, but you have to deal with someone's butt cheeks, and like butt crack and stuff,
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that would seem like a really challenging, like a design challenge, like trying to navigate, just a big cleft in the middle of your design. Is that a challenging part?
Yeah. No. You start to think of some tricks. At least I've had a few like success with some tricks, But the bum is hard to tattoo because it's a different plane, right? It changes the angles of everything you draw. the bum crack too, it'll split an image, and so it's like, you know, trying to work so that either something can pass across it, or, you know, there's some way to incorporate it. But I don't know, you know, if you get too focused on it, then it can hinder you a lot too, right? So you have to kind of like, you know, slowly learn some tricks to kind of work with it rather than see it as like a negative, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing about back pieces that I wanted to say was that people really have to suffer, you know? It's one of the most painful, large-scale things you can do, right? Like I have some people that they'll come in for a neck-to-knee back piece, and in 5 months it'll be done. Like they'll come in and they'll do 2 days in a row each time they come out, you know, like 5-6 hours a day, and they just get it done. And then I have people that spend 2-3 years, you know, trying to like collect it, and it's like you really see them suffer. Like on some days, you know, they can sit there for a long time and we can really get a lot done, and on other days it's just like, you know, it just looks like it's a miserable experience. And so, you know, you really have to work with the person and find out what kind of day they're having. Like luckily on the back, it's like, you know, you can, oh, is this really sore? Well, let's work up here then for a little while, right? Like you can kind of navigate around that and try to make it a more tolerable experience, I suppose.
Do you prefer to work on backs or front torsos or sides? What's your like ideal area?
I don't know. I think ideal area is probably like a lower leg, like a calf, because it's so easy.
Well, yeah,
you know, you don't even
absolutely.
really stretch; it just goes in there. The bum, like in comparison, like you're talking about, it's so hard to tattoo people's bums. Like I still haven't figured out a good way to do it. Like I always get really tired trying to stretch the skin there. Like, you know, there's so much mobility in that skin, right? Like you can be standing up straight, or you can have your knees in your chest. So it's like that skin stretches all that way. So when you try to physically stretch it to tattoo it, it's like, it's always like rubber, you know, like this rubber thing. It's hard.
How do you overcome that challenge? You know, you just deal with it, huh? It's like you
just brute force.
Put your forearm down and go. You know, like
yeah.
Maybe you should hire like an assistant for the bum days. You know, just to help you stretch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever taken an apprentice?
No, not yet. I don't know. I was thinking about it at some point. I guess it seems like some type of requirement. I always felt like I was never in the right position to have an apprentice. Like, I don't know. It always feels like if you have an apprentice, it must mean you know everything or something. I don't know if that's the truth, but I always feel like I'm still learning. So.
Yeah, I think taking an apprentice is a good way to help your legacy live beyond you, you know, because there's only a finite amount of time that you're here, so passing that information that you spent years on, you know.
Sure. Yeah, I've worked with lots of people, and they ask me stuff and I tell them. So, you know, hopefully I've had some influence that way.
So you live on an island, right?
Yeah, Vancouver Island.
Is it a small place? What's it like?
It's pretty small. It's a lot smaller than Vancouver. I think there's about 80,000 people where I live.
How did you end up on an island? What drew you there?
My son being born, and we were living in Vancouver, and it's very expensive. And then my wife's family lives here, like her parents and her brother and her sister and stuff like that. So it was like, you know, oh, let's move to the island and get a house and have a family unit and stuff. So, you know, just kind of some kind of shift. And I suppose also, you know, to some degree, I wanted a bit more of a shift too. It wasn't the main reason, but like in Vancouver, my pace was a lot too. Like I was always doing like, you know, 2 4-hour appointments a day, you know, 4 or 5 days a week. And it was like, I was starting to get run down a little bit from time to time, or feeling like the pressure, I suppose, right? So it's like being on the island, I have a little bit more control. I can work on one person a day and, you know, be more focused, I think.
How often do you tattoo now? Are you tattooing like 5 days a week, 6 days a week? Do you work every day?
No, I tattoo 4 days a week, and then I draw like 2 days a week. Like to me, having whole drawing days is super important. Like I've never done well with like I'll draw after work or I'll draw before work. Like I always think there's like this, for me personally, there's like this rushed sort of a thing, you know, and I don't think I would ever be totally satisfied. Like sometimes, you know, everything lines up and you do something awesome. But for me, it's like I feel like I need to have that, like, okay, this is my best version I can do, you know? And for me, I just need the time for that. So it's like I focus on like these days of the week. That's when I draw. So I'm even mentally preparing, you know, like days before or a week before, like, oh, that week I'm going to draw that thing. And it's like I'm already starting to kind of piece it together.
Do you still work with pencil and paper?
Yeah.
Do you ever experiment with digital stuff at all?
I don't know. I've tried the iPad a little bit, but I don't know. There's something about it that I just don't like. Like it just doesn't seem real, you know. Like, and I don't know. I've had a bunch of friends all like, "Oh yeah, you should get one. They're super awesome." And then they always show me the same thing, like unintentionally probably, but like it's like, "Oh, here's this thing I've been working on, and here's the picture I found from the internet, and here's the layer where I traced it." Right. And you know, and then I got to, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, you know, I like looking at pictures for reference, but I like the feeling of drawing them. You know, like I want to feel like I'm making something. I don't know. It seems important. I can see the difference when I make it and when I like get lazy on something. You know.
Yeah, I completely understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's amazing what people are doing with them. It's an awesome tool. So, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I think it'd be great to have it for doing color studies.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can zoom in on it and have whatever tool you want. And I'll probably get one eventually, but I'm still holding out. Like I write all my appointments on paper in a book because I feel like there's like a connection, you know, where I'm writing it in there and then I know about it. Like, I don't know. There's so much digital stuff now. It's like, I don't know if I need any help to, you know, find ways to do more digital, more screen time, like, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I'm looking at a screen all the time. I'm actually looking at two of them right now, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I find the iPad useful for showing a client quickly what a sketch can look like on their body, you know, being able to take a photo of them right there while they're standing there and do a sketch on them. And
yeah.
But lately I've been kind of disenchanted with the whole thing. And I was just talking with one of the artists here about just going back to ink on vellum because at the end of the day, you just have a file, you know, in the iPad. You don't have any kind of artwork.
Yeah, like I have such an attachment to like drawings, you know, like I put all my current projects on the wall when I'm working on them, so I'm always thinking about them. And then when I finish them, I put them in books, so I have like stacks of, you know, years worth of drawings in books. And it's like, you know, I'll flip through it from time to time, but it's like there's a tactile thing about it, you know, when you touch it and it's like, that's like the original thing, right? That's the moment that you had those ideas and you put it on the paper. But it's like, for me, there's some kind of loss with the digital thing where it's like, it doesn't really exist anywhere. Like you can email somebody that same file, and does that mean they have the original? Like, I know it's not that important, but it's like, I remember an experience where I went to an art gallery, one of the first art galleries I ever went to. And at the time I really liked Picasso, and there was a sculpture from Picasso. And it was like, I could get right up to it, you know, like I probably could have touched it, but I don't know, you get in trouble for that. But I was like he touched that thing. It's not like a replica. It's not like, you know, they can't make a print of it. It's like, you know, his hands were touching it. And there's something cool about that. Like, call it energetic. I don't know. But, you know, I like looking at drawings. Like I like when I see other people's drawings on paper because you see a lot of energy in there. You see the little, you know, lines that were just kind of put down quickly that never amounted to anything, and you know, like just movement in it. It's nice.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Do you travel much away from Canada? Do you travel during the year?
I think I used to travel a little bit more, like and do quite a few of the Canadian conventions and stuff like that. the tattooing scene in Canada is pretty awesome. Like, it's really friendly. Like, I don't know, maybe that's like a stereotype of Canada, but it's
I mean,
like,
it's
I've
definitely
heard
a stereotype of Canada, but I mean, if you're gonna have a stereotype, that's a pretty good one.
it's a good one, yeah. Like I've heard my American friends come up here and they say that, like, oh, it's so weird. Like, everybody seems to get along, and there are people like all the way across Canada that keep in regular contact with one another and seem to like support each other and get together and hang out and stuff like that. And so it's nice. Like, I think that's probably the biggest reason I go around for conventions, is just to kind of see those people, because they're really nice, you know.
Do you have a favorite
Convention?
Yeah.
Different ones for different reasons, I suppose. My friend Rich put on a convention in Winnipeg just this year. It was the first one. It was really cool. He's like a real lover of tattoos, and so I think, all that energy kind of went into the show, and there was a lot of really good artists there, but it was really like kind of like stress-free and fun. But there's a Calgary convention that's really good. There's a Toronto convention, Montreal. Those are kind of the ones that are in the forefront of my mind.
Yeah, I've been to the Montreal convention.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, well, because I live like maybe 4 hours from Montreal, so
Oh, cool.
it's an easy drive for me to go up, and I really like that convention. But
It's really nice there. It's kind of like it's very almost European, right?
Yeah, it's very European. But I'd like to make it out to the Calgary convention. I hear really good things about that one.
Yeah, it's very good. It's big. It's like every year it just seems to be getting more and more massive.
Well,
I don't know.
that's a little less appealing.
That might be a trend.
What's that?
It might be a general trend with conventions. Like, they all seem to be getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, they do tend to get huger and huger. Paradise stays the same size every year because we're limited by the space we have, and it's a good thing,
Yeah.
because it doesn't get out of control, and everyone that goes knows each other. It's I really like the Paradise convention for sure.
Yeah, I really like that one I went to in Venice. It was super great.
That one was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything like that will happen again, but that was cool. I had a really good time at that one.
It was so weird to be there because it was like, you're at this really cool convention around really cool people. And then when the convention was done, I was like, oh, I'm in Venice. I should probably walk around, look at some stuff. And it was like, whoa. Because when you're at a convention, everyone seems to travel to all these conventions, but you don't often give yourself enough time to really take it all in or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Depends on where it is, I suppose.
Most people fly in, they go to the convention center, they stay in the convention center for 3 days, and then they fly home. So you just kind of see the inside of a hotel over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to leave extra time before and after, so you can go see things,
Yeah, for sure.
So what kind of projects are you working on these days?
I don't know. Some back pieces, some leg sleeves, cool stuff, fun stuff. The stuff in behind me on the wall, the stuff I'm working on.
That's a lot of work. Thematically, thematically, what kind of stuff do you really like? What's some of your favorite things to tattoo? Yeah, what kinds of elements?
I think generally storytelling stuff, but it's often the words that people use to describe their project that kind of draws me in. It's I don't know what it is, but so sometimes it's right now, somebody pointed out to me the other day, they were like, oh, all your projects, there's a lot of myth stuff on there. There's Hindu gods, and there's Christian gods, and Ukrainian folklore, and Japanese folklore, and there's a Medusa, and there's so I was like, oh, that's weird. I didn't intend for that to happen, but I suppose it always happens that way. You kind of move in cycles where you're I don't know, I'll just think in my head oh, it'd be really cool to do some really cool snake thing, and then somebody will email me oh, I want a really cool snake thing, and it's oh, perfect. A while ago, actually, a couple of years ago, I had a girl and I wanted to do like a mermaid / octopus lady, and I love great white sharks. And this lady emails me like, "Oh yeah, I want a mermaid octopus lady like battling a great white shark." And I was like, "What?" Yeah.
You put that mental vibe out into the world, and someone heard it. So, you know.
Yeah, actually, I had a dream one time about this tattoo, and I saw it on somebody introduced me like, "Oh, hi, this is my girlfriend. Check out her back piece." And I looked at it, and I was like, "Whoa, that's such a cool idea." And I was like so bummed that I didn't think about it. You know, and it was such a funny thing in a dream. But then I woke up and I was like, "Oh, that was a dream. I did think about it." So I sketched it out, and then literally within a week, somebody emailed me, and almost word for word, it was the picture from my dream. It was really freaky. I got like goosebumps. So I was like, yeah.
Do you believe in that kind of spiritual stuff? Do you believe in any of that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I'm also practical, right? So, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird how stuff comes to you. I try to take it all. You know, I'm thankful that anybody wants to get tattooed by me. So
I wasn't aware that you did a lot of black and gray work. I just kind of found that out. Because most of what I see, I don't know why, is like these bold, colorful pieces.
yeah.
How often do you do black and gray compared to the bright colored stuff?
I don't know. It feels like most of the time it's about half the time I'm doing black and gray. Like I really like it. I think one of my major indirect mentors, you know, like that I looked up to was Philip Liu. Oh, yeah. And when I think of Philip Liu, I think of big black and gray, and just the way that he does it, like so perfectly balanced. Like it's like an even thirds of like black gray skin. And it's like, you know, it's something I'm still trying to like get that balance in. And I love black and gray because I can do it a lot faster. I love the way that it settles in really smoothly. And you can look at it, you know, like I have a piece from Philip Liu on my forearm from like 95, and it looks just the same as it did. But, you know, you don't really get that same longevity out of color. Like there is a eventual, you know, softening of it or something like that, I suppose.
Can you tell me a little bit about what your experience was like getting tattooed by Philip Liu in 1995?
Yeah, it was awesome. I went with my boss, Crazy Ace. We went on this road trip to Europe, and we did like 5 countries in 5 weeks. And it was all conventions every weekend. And one of the conventions was in Amsterdam at Hanky Panky's convention. It was like everybody was there. Horiyoshi 3 was tattooing, Philip Liu, Robert Hernandez, Pinton, Chris Trevino, anybody, Paul Booth, like anybody you can think of the time that was massive was there. And so I walked around watching all these people, and I watched Philip tattoo a lot. And then the next convention we went to, I think I got to talk to him there too. But the next convention we went to was like Moscow. And so nobody was really working that much there because there was nobody with money, like customers. So other tattooers started getting tattooed by each other. And Philip had time. Like he wasn't busy. Like it was crazy. And so I went up to him and I was like, you know, can I get tattooed? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, and it was amazing. And it was funny because it was, I think it was some kind of like, I don't know what kind of, who was running the convention, like actually, like who was behind it. But there was a lot of really serious people there. It was really intimidating.
I'm sure it was some sort of Russian oligarch that was running that convention because they ran everything.
Yeah, it was intense. And so there was some kind of like street kid that was hanging out, and he had tattooed himself. He had tattooed his face and all this kind of stuff. And for some reason, Philip and Luke Atkinson took it upon themselves, like, because, you know, they weren't super busy. So they were like, hey, let me fix up your tattoos. So this kid, you know, sits in their booth and he starts getting tattooed by him. And Luke was redoing his tattoos. And like, I think on his face, he was redoing some stitches across his lip or something. And so Luke takes a break to go to the bathroom or whatever. And this kid picks up his machine and starts tattooing himself with it.
Whoa.
Yeah. And this is while I'm getting tattooed. So, so Luke comes back and he's all like, oh my God, what are you doing? you know, and then he's like, hey, that's pretty good. And he's like, do one on me.
Oh, no
So
shit.
he resets up the machine and he gets this tattoo from this like street kid. And then Philip looks over and he's all like, I want to get one too.
Oh,
So
shit.
he takes a break from tattooing me and goes and gets like a little anarchy symbol tattooed on him from this kid. And it was just like such a circus, you know, and it was, you know, he's such a legend. So I was just like, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it was.
That's a
great
wonderful, that's a
experience.
wonderful, wonderful story.
Yeah, it was cool.
That went in a direction I had no idea it was going to go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, street
yeah.
kid tattooing himself, tattooing Philip, sure.
Yeah, I know, right?
Do you have a pretty big collection of tattoos yourself? I mean, have you been getting tattooed for a while?
Yeah, it's been a little bit since I got tattooed. It's funny because I was getting tattooed all the time, and then started at some point with Aaron Kane when I was working with him. Like Aaron's always been, you know, my main mentor and like my favorite tattooer. And then at some point I was tattooing him, and he was like, you know what? I'm not going to get tattooed by anybody else anymore. I'm just going to get tattooed by you. Get everything filled up. And I was like, perfect. I only want to get tattooed by you. And it was like all like, you know. And then shortly after, he kind of like moved out of tattooing and got more into making machines, right? Mm-hmm. I thought he would come back to it, and so I just kind of kept waiting. Like I was like, you know, I'm not going to get tattooed by anybody else. It's like, you know, getting tattooed by a Japanese master. It's like once you start with them, it's like, you know, you commit to them.
Right.
But you know, I don't think he's gonna come back to it in that way. Like I asked him about it a little while ago, and he said that he goes, you know, I still do tattoos, but I don't sell tattoos anymore. He's like, you know, I'll tattoo people that are close to me or whatever, but you know, I don't think I'd want to make him do something that he wasn't totally passionate about. I don't know, and that's just me, right? Like I'm reading into it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I use his machines every day, and I think about him all the time and his influence, like literally every day. So maybe that's enough. But there's other people I've been looking at a lot recently. Like there's so much amazing tattooing now that it's, you know, it's like, gosh, how do you pick, you know? Like right now, I think if I had a short list, I would really like to get tattooed by Adrian Lee. I think his stuff is really cool.
You know, Adrian was originally going to be on the show too tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was supposed to be both of you guys, and yeah, he had to reschedule to the next show. So that's a bummer. I wish he had been here because then you guys could have chatted with each other. You know.
I've been like I've been saying to some of my friends, like I'd like to go down to San Francisco and is he in San Francisco or San Jose?
He is in San Francisco. Ron Earhart is running the San Jose shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to just go down and visit, you know, like that shop and stuff. I'm a big fan of his work anyway.
I'm a huge fan of his work. I love his big stuff. And his like, and I really like the fact that he posts everything in black and white.
Yeah.
Even though most of those tattoos are full color, but he posts
Yeah,
them
that's
all in black and white.
understand.
Yeah, but
It's like seems like a real artist, you know, like everything he writes is very arty, you know, everything is very considered, and you know, he has a code and stuff, and I like it.
He's very thoughtful, for sure. You know, he puts everything into everything he does, and that's why his tattoos are so amazing. You know, that's why all of his art is so amazing.
Yeah.
But you know, I would put you guys on the same level. You know.
Thanks.
So.
I try to put everything into everything too.
Yeah. It shows.
Sometimes it's very stressful and very draining, right?
Yeah.
When you really, like, lots of people say, like, oh, I try really hard, I give it 110 or 120%. But it's like, if you actually are giving 100%, like just 100%, it's like, you know, it wipes you out. Like, you get emptied out. So, you know, like, you can't just keep doing that all the time. Like, luckily, I think for me, also doing this, you have the opportunity to go 100% in, put everything into preparation, and then the stages of it, you know, you can have days where you're just filling stuff in. You know, you're not like always draining that art brain. You know, you're like, you just kind of like, sometimes you're just painting the empty spaces.
Right. Someday you have to make an entire left butt cheek blue.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That could be a tough day. Probably not mentally, more physically. What do you do to like decompress? What do you do to relax when you're not tattooing? What do you do to recharge?
Most of the time I do like yoga practice. I try to stretch and stuff because that's super important. I think it helps my focus quite a lot too. But it's, the first motivator was for sure the body condition. And it's like if I skip my practice for a while, it's like my wrists start to get sore, my back gets sore. And so it's like I don't even have a choice. It's like I have to do that. But luckily, I like it too. And then in the winter, I go snowboarding. In the summer, I'll go surfing or wake surfing or try to ride my motorbike and stuff like that. Lots of decompressing stuff. Spending time with the family too, I suppose.
Yeah. If you ever make it down here, I can definitely take you on some motorcycle rides out through the hill towns. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Likewise, if you come up here, the island's really nice. There's lots of windy roads and stuff.
I think getting my motorcycle from Massachusetts to your island would be a hell of a journey.
Yeah, no doubt.
I ride a Sportster, man. I would be broken by the time I got there.
Oh, yeah.
But I could trailer one over.
Yeah.
Do you have any traveling coming up in the next year?
I don't know. I haven't really made any travel plans yet. I know I was talking to Gabe about going to Massachusetts, but I haven't, I guess, totally committed to that. But
Well,
I'm feeling like I'd like to travel a bit more next year.
You don't have to commit to anything right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of places I'd like to see, and I'd really like to try to get down to California and see like Aaron, and maybe go meet Adrian Lee and Jeff Croce too, and those guys at Seven Sun are really nice. I'd like to go visit them.
I would say do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Let's see. I went to Ireland this past year, but I'm going, I think, Detroit maybe, and then India sometime next year.
Whoa, India's big. Yeah. Oh, I think I had talked to some people about going to Iceland next year.
Oh man, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, apparently there's a convention there. And my friends said that they're going to get a booth, and so I wanted to go work there, so I might try to do that.
Yeah, I've never been, but I hear it's amazing.
Yeah, I actually hadn't heard much about it, and then they were showing me all these pictures and telling me about it, and I was like, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, one of our artists here, Matt, went, and he brought home some amazing photographs.
Oh, cool.
If someone's looking to get tattooed by you, what's the process?
Email. Yeah, email, and then, I have like a form through my website that you can fill out, which is a good starting point. Mm-hmm. But I know you can't type in too many characters, so you could also, just email me at steve@getmoretattoos.com if you want to have more characters or include pictures or something. But I read through them, and then as soon as I have an opportunity to take on new projects, I go in there and I flip through stuff and try to find some interesting stuff. But it's a bit random, I suppose. But usually people that email me more than once, like often I'll read something and I think, oh, that's an awesome idea, but at this moment I can't do it. But, a few months down the road when I can do it, that might be like so on the bottom of the stack that I just don't see it. But if that person, emails me back once in a while, then it's like I know that they're really interested and they're committed. That's another big part of the process, I think, is finding someone to work with that's really committed. Like sometimes I start a project, and people are getting tattooed every 6 months or once a year. And then I think, oh man, I kind of wish I didn't commit to that. I should have, started something I could have been working on more regularly. Because it's like, you start to forget, start to lose that initial spark.
Yeah, and stylistically, your interests change. 2 years from now, you're not gonna be as excited about something that you came up with.
Maybe, yeah.
Not necessarily, anyway.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Yeah. Well, cool. I really appreciate you talking with me. It's been fun.
I appreciate it. Thanks for thinking to talk to me.
Of course, man. You're one of my favorite tattoo artists.
What? No.
Ask anybody. I'm not going to try to kiss your ass on the camera right now, but that's the truth.
Thanks, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure to talk with you, man. And hopefully we can have you back sometime, or have you here in person sometime. That would be pretty great too.
That would be great.
If I ever find myself on the west coast of Canada, I will look you up.
Cool. That'd be great.
Thanks again, man. Hopefully we'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the holidays and all that stuff.
Okay, you too.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Okay. Bye.
Everyone, that was Steve Moore. If you don't know who he is, go to getmoretattoos.com and see what you've been missing, because tattoos are amazing. I wasn't just kissing his ass. He really is one of my favorite tattoo artists, and that's all. That's it. Thanks for watching. We got one more show coming up this year. Hopefully we'll be speaking with Adrian Lee. He was going to be with us tonight, but we had to do a little reschedule. And then, of course, the best of show will be coming up. We'll wrap up the year, and then we'll have a whole bunch of new stuff for you next season. If there's anything you want to see, get in touch with us. We'll try to get them on there. And, we're here every other week. And we'll be out there on the road again this year. I'm sure we'll see you at Hell City and whatnot. And you can always find me at benlicata.com. If you want to get tattooed, I got some time, so hit me up. See you later.
Cool, so we're going to talk today about collaboration tattoos.
So I thought now it's time for me to see if I can share some of my insights to tattoos and designing and just our careers in general. You do things yourself, you figure things out yourself, and you do that and you think, well, I've done that, so everyone else can do that. It just made me think that what I think and what you think is never going to be wrong.
And then we get to a point where I'm like, when I do my own designs, they look kind of boring. Yeah, and so collaboration came about really naturally like that.
We go to work, we go home, we talk about work. It's our life.
But this has become our career, like we've decided to focus almost entirely on this, haven't we?
Yeah.
If anything, sometimes you kind of take one for the team and you're just like, hey, whatever makes this look good is what's important, you know.
We have to trust each other with what we're letting the other person do.
Yeah, and people have done that before. They come in and they look at the design and they go, huh, that's not what I was expecting. And I go, that wasn't what I was expecting either. Like, that just came out. Like, I don't know.
I mean, what we're essentially trying to say to you is, and it's the title of like the seminar really, Limitless, is all of this, it's stop trying to limit yourself before you've even started.
The jade effect, I guess, is the result of things that have affected me. I started off doing henna. The flow from henna and doing so much henna is in my hand. I decided to go to this, which changed my life because I saw things like this. So I was 17 and I decided to go to India by myself. This was the truest experience I had had from another person receiving something like this. I don't want to sound too crazy, but she's still the reason why I tattooed today. You guys are awesome. And I love tattooing so much. So thank you guys. The jade effect, I guess, is the result of things that have affected me. I started off doing henna. The flow from henna and doing so much henna is in my hand. I decided to go to this, which changed my life because I saw things like this. So I was 17 and I decided to go to India by myself. This was the truest experience I had had from another person receiving something like this. I don't want to sound too crazy, but she's still the reason why I tattooed today. You guys are awesome. And I love tattooing so much. So thank you guys. The jade effect, I guess, is the result of things that have affected me. I started off doing henna. The flow from henna and doing so much henna is in my hand. I decided to go to this, which changed my life because I saw things like this. So I was 17 and I decided to go to India by myself. This was the truest experience I had had from another person receiving something like this. I don't want to sound too crazy, but she's still the reason why I tattooed today. You guys are awesome. And I love tattooing so much. So thank you guys.